childhood development, so I found Dr. Maria Montessori to be interesting. She had a quote within a child lies the fate of the future. And looking back in 1879, when the essence of a child was to be seen and not heard, or when a child was considered to be uncontrollable or unruly, they were considered to be a lost cause. Who would have thought or imagined that a young girl born in Italy would grow up to take her theories on education and develop a form of pedagogy that would change the course of education as we know it today. The Montessori method is used in schools all across the continent. We have a Montessori preschool and daycare here in Oklahoma City. This form of pedagogy is being used in most public school systems in the U.S. today. Today I'm going to tell you how Maria's compassion for children and her ambition to improve the learning environment and methods used to educate children. Maria Montessori developed the most influential teaching method that transformed and expanded the relationship between teachers and students. Maria was born in 1870 in Ancona, Italy. Growing up, she was always ahead of her time. At age 13, she attended a technical engineering school for boys for 7 years. Then she changed her mind and went pre-med. And in 1896, she became the first woman physician in Italy. She specialized in psychology and pediatrics. She was also a part of Europe's peace efforts, women movement, and child labor reform. In 1897, she began working with children with special needs at the University of Rome Psychiatric Clinic. There she worked with children learning what they needed and what they wanted and who they were inside. There she realized that the hospital was not a proper environment for teaching children and meeting the individual needs of the children. So she began to research and developed her theories on how a child should be taught. And in 1912, she developed the Montessori method. In 1907, Maria opened a string of daycare centers called Casa dei Bambini, which means House of Children. Here's where she introduced her method. She took children from Rome's poorest neighborhoods, which were children and she worked with the children that were too young to go to public schools. And part of her method was that if you treated a child with respect, they would learn to respect themselves. And she allowed them to explore their interests at a very young age, which taught them to be independent. She also changed the learning environment by being the first person to use small tables and chairs. And she believed that the environment was just as important as what was being taught. And that method, and it resulted in the children of 4 and 5 being able to work on a 3rd grade level and higher. Maria also believed that every child is unique, and by observing them, they would teach us how to teach them by recognizing their wants and needs. She also believed that in the correct environment, children would be able to reach their potential physically, mentally, and spiritually. Her method opened doors for children to far exceed their life goals. This method earned her the only 2 gold medals ever learned for education. Through Maria's compassion for children and her ambitious drive to improve and perfect the educational system, she developed one of the most remarkable teaching methods of our time. It has proven to be most effective in the advancement and higher achievement in our children's learning abilities. And I use the International Montessori Index and columns by Joyce Scotty of the Chicago Montessori Learning Examiner and AngelFire.com.